I think I was like on the verge of like going down the path that do you see Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, where you could like snap at me.
Dude, I think Champaign, Illinois is doing something to me, man.
Don't say that.
It's getting colder, and I'm starting to see some stuff. Dude, I don't know, bro.
All work, no play makes Ty a dull boy. I'm warmed up. I'm ready.
Rach found a new vocal warm-up. It's rad 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 rad.
Mama's gonna have some nightmares tonight, y'all.
Okay, so it's incredible that I got 2 out of her this year.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody that listens to the pod because you were incredibly influential in this, including a few people who literally contacted me. After we announced, like, we might do 2 scary movies, maybe Nightmare on Elm Street and The Shining during the last episode, and they were like, hey, I need to hear you guys talk about those 2 movies, so make sure Rach does both of them. Like, I got that from 2 buddies.
Yeah, 2 people, maybe 1. Maybe you made that up.
No, I heard it from 2. They're like, yeah, you make sure she does both.
You're lucky that I was vaguely just intrinsically intrigued by The Shining just in general, and that I knew enough about it that I knew that I could handle it. But
yeah, there's no way I was going to flip this order where I was going to have you watch The Shining and then be like, hey, do you think maybe we could watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2? You'd be like, no, absolutely not.
You were wise to do that, which is funny because I don't know, without having seen them, I think I would have thought that Nightmare on Elm Street was like a slasher and it was going to be too scary. But it ended up being kind of the reverse.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's due to that kill count, though.
Yeah, I know. The kill count helped majorly.
Helped a lot. I mean,
there's no kill count on this.
There's no kill count for The Shining.
I don't know. I didn't even look. There might be, but it's only 1 kill, so I don't think it's a very long episode.
It's very scary. Oh, it's spoiled.
Rach, so why did you let this happen?
Why?
Yeah. Because you're setting a precedence that I think I can get 2 out of you. Because last year, the audience doesn't know this. We went to Halloween in the theaters, and we podcasted about it.
Yep.
And then on, I think it was Halloween night. If not, it was like a couple days before. We're sitting in our living room, and Rach just turned to me, and she just goes, I think I could watch The Exorcist. And I was like, oh, yeah? And she's like, yeah, I think I want to watch The Exorcist. I was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, I'll kind of get the format together or whatever. And she's like, no. I think I just want to watch it, and I don't want to have to talk about it. Like it was going to be too scary to talk about it. And I was like, oh, are you sure? And then I told some people afterwards, I was like, hey, Rach ended up watching The Exorcist. They're like, where's the podcast? And I was like, yeah, I know. She said she didn't want to pod about it. So you need to apologize to everybody who wanted to hear an Exorcist episode that you did not give them their yum.
Their yum?
Yeah, you didn't give them their yum-yums.
I'm sorry. It was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. Overall, I would say scary, but good, and I probably won't watch it again. You actually, after this movie was done, after we watched The Shining, you were just on the TV, like, flipping around.
And Rachel's like, I gotta get my heart rate down.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta breathe. And you're like, oh, what? 10 minutes left of The Exorcist. I wonder where they're at. And I was like, don't. Yeah,
and I clicked on it, and she goes, get off of it. Get off of it. And it was like the part
where... It wasn't that dramatic.
It wasn't, you were shouting, but you're like, no, get away from that. And then I, like, come back, and then I'm flipping through the guide again, and I come to Halloween 2. And I instantly think in my head, okay, is this Halloween 2 from like the early 80s, late 70s? Is this Halloween 2 with Rob Zombie? Or is this another way that they said Halloween ends? And so I'm just hovering over it. And Rach just goes, no, you get off of it. Get off of it. I hadn't even turned it on. I hadn't even turned the channel.
You were just toying with me. You're like, oh, wonder which one it is. We'll just peek to see.
No, I was like, it's the Rob Zombie one. Because they would have called it Halloween Kills otherwise. And you're like, yeah, right. I know you were going to click on it. You were so fired up.
I was mad.
You're going. I think you even said, you're pissing me off right now.
You're pissing me off. You knock it off. You're pissing me off. I did. I was joking, but I was also not joking.
Yeah.
You were making me very upset.
And it's funny because when you get Rach, when you get her scared, she's like a beast to deal with.
A little feist.
Yeah,
a little feisty
but
in
it's
there.
fun. You just have to like have a good time with it. I've had some teachers who have been mean in the past who like will say mean things, and I just take it as a joke. Like, that's my way that I cope with it. I'm like, they're just palling around with me.
Oh,
when they said that was terrible, they're just joking.
You're just judging me.
And that's how I handle you when you're really scared,
Do
too.
I say mean things to you, too?
Well, sometimes you're
when
just
I'm
like a little on edge, and I'm like, she's just palling around.
Oh, well, you said that you had 10 pages worth of stuff for today.
No, I actually don't. I reread it. I was like, I do not have that much.
Okay.
It's a normal amount.
We got to cut the chit-chat.
Yeah.
Let's get to...
Cut the jibba-jabba.
The jibba-jabba. Let's get to The Shining,
Well,
you guys.
Rach, let's talk about The Shining.
Let's,
What's the summary? What would you tell people if they were like, okay, I want to dip my toe in the water, but I want to know what's in the water. Like, are there sharks in there?
So what intrigued me most about this is the paranormal element. So that's what you're dealing with here. It's not a slasher in the sense that like some boogeyman is like coming after them. It's kind of like more internal. So this family essentially has to stay and be the caretakers of this giant resort in Colorado for the winter as it closes down. Someone's got to stay there, make sure the pipes don't freeze, etc. And slowly but surely, things start to get a little weird, and the dad loses his mind. Or maybe he already had his mind lost because I will get into that later, but it's very, very interesting. I was not ready for that switch at the end.
Yeah, and I told Rach, this movie brings up a lot of conversation, and a lot of people are know-it-alls and think they have the answers. Like, no joke, there are thesis dissertations that are written on this movie.
Oh,
This movie invites a lot of conversation, and as much as somebody will convince you, like, no, you're wrong, this is what it is. They're not necessarily right.
Sure,
like,
it's in the eye
Stephen
of the
King,
beholder.
Kubrick, they're all, both kind of open-ended a little bit about this movie and about some of the things at play here.
Okay.
So it's okay to just have a guess. And even if our listeners are like, no, you're wrong, this is what it is, I would say to the listener, you both are wrong. Or both are right. I don't know.
We don't know.
Don't know. And I don't think anybody knows.
Don't be so know-it-all-y. Like, be flexible
Don't
with your
be a
thinking.
know-it-all.
It's okay. It's okay.
From one know-it-all, let me tell you, don't be a know-it-all. So I think I saw this in middle school.
Ooh.
Yeah, like probably 6th or 7th grade. I watched it on TV.
Oh.
With commercials and
it
stuff.
was on TV?
Yeah,
They used to on TV?
Yeah, they used to play it like around Halloween time, and there'd be like
maybe that's why I've
after
seen
midnight
chunks of
movie
it.
kind of thing.
That makes sense.
Yep, and
Okay.
it's long, especially on TV with commercials. You're talking about like a 3.5 hour movie. Like this is a long movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the runtime is only 2:20, but it feels a little long. And not like always in a negative way. They take their freaking time.
They
is
take
what
their
they do.
time. They make you think something's going to happen when it's not. It just, you feel a little bit like you're getting some cabin fever going crazy a little bit in the process, even though I've only been in this hotel for an hour, but I'm already feeling stir crazy, you know?
You know what I thought was really weird is Rach, during the movie, she kept Shazamming songs that were playing and then adding them to her Spotify relaxing study list.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah, that was weird of me to do that.
Yeah.
I especially like the heartbeat song. Where
Yeah.
Like, ka-kunk, ka-kunk, ka-kunk. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, all it is like a bunch of like really stressful tones that are happening the entire damn movie.
The score for this is incredible. Like, it makes it so that I was on edge when I didn't need to be on edge. As you showed me earlier, before we watched this film, Ty, I had never seen this parody of the trailer that has like all kinds of like different joyful music behind it.
It's called a re-trailer or something like that? It's where you take the theme of a movie and then you convert it to something. They did it with West Side Story and made it a zombie movie. But what's this one do, Rach?
So it takes The Shining and it makes it like this coming-of-age father-son film, and it's got all kinds of like hopeful music in it, and you're like, wow, that seems like a real touching movie. I think I wouldn't mind watching that. All based on the music and some select cuttings, obviously.
Meet Jack Torrance.
I'm outlining a new writing project.
He's a writer looking for inspiration.
Lots of ideas. No good ones.
Meet Danny.
Mr. Torrance,
He's a kid looking for a dad.
There's hardly anybody to play with around here.
What's up, Doc?
Jack just can't finish his book.
I don't want to sound melodramatic, but there's no way to make it economically feasible.
Here's to 5 miserable months.
But now, sometimes what we need the most is just around the corner.
So do you wish I would have shown that to you still like I did before to like help ease you into it and see some moments in the movie, or afterwards to like come down from your high?
I think both would have been good.
You want to see it again?
I want to watch it again.
Oh, okay.
I liked it before because anytime anything got too scary in the moment, I just switched the song in my head. I was like, doon, 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 doon. Like when he's like just riding his little bike around the hallways. It wasn't like, it was like, doom, 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 doop, 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 doop. It's very cute, very whimsy. That helped a lot, even though I knew what was coming.
Oh my gosh. Rach, you know who directed this movie?
The name popped up. Son of a gun. I know who wrote the book The Shining.
Oh, who wrote the book?
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Yep.
Stephen King.
It
I
is
know a
based
little
on
bit
Stephen
about the
King.
origin story for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Fun.
you can get into that.
Well, you know, you
when you
might
want to.
have more of the book because I really concentrate on the film.
Oh, good.
And so I actually think that you knowing a little bit about the origin of what Stephen King encountered and why he was interested in writing this, I think that would be great. And I think you have some lore on the actual Stanley Hotel where this takes place that
Yes.
we'll love to get into. Let's save it for just a little bit.
Save it.
But we will definitely get into that.
Okay.
So the movie's directed by a gentleman by the name of Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, yes.
Do you know other Stanley Kubrick movies?
I probably do, but I can't tell you them.
Sure. So let me just list off a laundry list. And
Please.
one of your favorite films is actually on this list. So Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Is that it?
I am
Is that one of my
Spartacus.
favorite films?
Nope. Dr. Strangelove.
Okay.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Uh-huh.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh.
Full Metal Jacket.
Whoa.
And your fave.
Uh-huh.
Eyes Wide Shut.
That's honestly the only one that I have not seen of that group. And there was
You've
a
seen
space,
2001 Space Odyssey?
I was going to say in the Space Odyssey.
Oh, I've never
I
seen
haven't
that
seen
one.
that, and I haven't seen what you just Eyes Wide Shut.
You've seen Spartacus?
I've seen enough of it.
I've never seen Spartacus.
No?
No.
I am Spartacus.
No. Nope. But yeah, you've never
Put it on the list.
You've never seen Eyes Wide Shut?
No.
Nicole Kidman and Tom
Right.
Cruise?
When that came out, that was rated R, and I was not 17, so no, I have not seen that movie.
Oh, gotcha.
And I have not gone back to see it.
Oh.
Because I can't see movies that are rated R when I was not of age.
Here's what I'll say. I don't think I've ever seen the full movie.
What's that mean?
It's just that I was a pervert little kid and would watch
You've only
the saucy
seen
moments.
The naughty parts. Just fast forward to
Just like an Interview with the Vampire. I think I only saw like the 2 nudie moments in that movie, like when I was in middle school, and never watched the whole movie till I was like in high school.
Oh, that movie.
And that's a great movie.
That movie makes me a little nauseous.
Yeah.
I watched it in Spanish, so not Spanish class, but
Mm-hmm.
I watched the film and it was Spanish. And it made me a little nosh. Just like the blood drinking is like, oh, I don't feel so good.
So here's where Kubrick is in his career. So this is 1980 when this comes out. Clockwork Orange was in 71. And then he comes out with this Barry Lyndon movie in 75. It's a major flop. I actually saw it just about a year ago. It's got some duels in it and stuff that are kind of cool.
It's like, why?
Just for the combat, really.
Got
And
it.
it's not a bad movie, but it's a long, and I could see it tedious. It's not boring, but tedious.
Got it.
Shining is a little tedious at times. Like, I think he has a style that's like a little tedious. But then he's going to do Full Metal Jacket in 87. So he's like in between that. And Barry Lyndon was such a flop that he needs a hit. And so Stanley is starting to like read books for adaptations. He's like, I got to get an adaptation. And his secretary says that she'd deliver like a stack of books and she would just hear like after like 20 minutes through one, him like throwing it into the trash. And then finally one afternoon, she doesn't hear him throw something in the trash. And she comes in and he's still reading the same book. He's like, this one's pretty good. And he was reading Stephen King's The Shining. And they're like, oh, shoot. But here's what you need to know. Stephen and Stanley
Yeah.
are not friends.
Oh.
They are enemies.
Enemies.
I don't know. Maybe that's too strong. But they
Frenemies?
don't like each other. Stephen King actually wrote a screenplay for this movie.
Oh, okay.
And Stanley Kubrick said that his writing is weak and not good enough for film.
For
and so
film?
he actually wrote his own adaptation.
Got it.
And there's going to be a lot of things that are different between the book and the movie that we can get into if you'd like later on down the road.
Gotcha. But he somehow procured the rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen King set aside his ego and said fine, you think you can write it better, but it's my original? Yeah, you
Well,
can.
and people love this book.
Yeah.
This book and It and The Stand are probably the three that stand out the most for Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, Stanley Kubrick's such a big deal at this point. He's done Clockwork Orange. He's been on top of the world from a cinematic standpoint. That he was able to just take the source material and adapt it however he wanted. It was just him and another gal, Diane Johnson. They wrote the script in 12 weeks. What do you think of the script?
I'm trying to think of the talking. There was not a ton of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it moved it along.
Yeah. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think everybody sounds like they're kind of manufactured. And I don't know if it's the dialogue or the performances, but everybody's a little weak when it comes to the script.
Think so?
That's my opinion on it. Yeah. I'm probably going to have hotter takes than you on this movie, just to preface, to get you ready for that.
I don't care how you feel about this movie. You're not hurting my feelings.
He did call Stephen King to talk about things, and one of the things he was curious about, he's like, Stephen, what do you think about ghosts? And Stephen King was like, I think ghosts are pretty scary or whatever. He's like, I think ghosts are hopeful, and it should give us hope. What happens to us in the afterlife? And Stephen goes, yeah, but aren't you worried? If there are ghosts, that maybe people are going to hell or something? He goes, no, I don't believe in hell. So they had this really existential in the clouds
real deep.
conversation, but that's one of the only times they ever talked.
I see.
Was just to talk about ghosts.
And then it went poorly.
Yep, and it went terribly after that. Let's talk about Jackie Boy.
Yeah. Oof.
Thoughts?
Perfectly cast, I would say, in this. Jack Nicholson always is a little creepy to me in any role, really.
Yeah, he's unnerving, unsettling.
He is. And I don't know if it's his eyebrows or what, but he just has this look in his eye and his smile, and you're just like, oh, he just has a sinister look about him.
Sure.
So I think that works really well in this. It would have been interesting, though, had they had somebody who looked a little bit more, I don't know, run-of-the-mill, who wasn't so just scary, just being normal. You know what I mean?
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Hang on to that thought for a little bit.
Yeah.
But let me also tell you some of the people they were considering, because they were considering very different people than Jack Nicholson.
Sure.
So Kubrick looked at two people. He looked at Robert De Niro and Robin Williams as two alternates, but Jack Nicholson was his number one, but he had a really close number two.
Okay.
Famous star in the 80s, action star. Loved this person.
Tom Cruise.
No, Tom Cruise would have. Well, I guess Top Gun. You've been pretty young to have a 5-year-old boy.
We've been so spicy. You wouldn't see it coming. You're like, no,
Gosh,
Tom, no.
Had Outsiders even come out then? That would have been an awful casting.
Was he even
the
born
more I think
then?
about
we
it.
don't know.
No, any other action stars that you would guess?
That's all I can think of.
Okay, well, I'll just give it to you then. Harrison Ford.
Oh, interesting.
That was somebody he strongly considered.
Oh,
and he was pretty
so
intrigued by the
handsome.
idea. Put together, family man, watching him devolve into madness.
Yeah.
He thought that might be pretty interesting. But he went with the Jack Nicholson character.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out, I'll tell you later, how Stephen King feels about that.
Oh, okay.
So Jack had just done One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 75. And this movie comes out in 80, but they shot it in 78. And this whole process, it's like a 5-year process. Kubrick is super slow.
Okay.
He wrote the script in 12 weeks, but he takes his damn time to do a lot of stuff.
5 years.
5-year production schedule before it gets released.
Whoa.
Yep. Even shooting it in 78 and not releasing it until 80 is kind of crazy. A lot of posts right there. For Danny Lloyd, this is pretty much the only movie the little boy's going to do. He did some TV stuff, and then he has a quick turn in the sequel, Dr. Sleep. But he didn't even know that he was in a scary movie.
Oh.
Do you think it's possible for them to hide the idea that he is in a scary movie this entire shoot?
If he doesn't know what he's saying.
Rah, rah,
He doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, he doesn't know it's murder spelled backwards, even though it's on the mirror.
He doesn't see the mirror. That's the camera that sees the mirror. It's not little Danny. He didn't know he was in a scary movie.
No. And
I guess if you had played some different music while he was riding around on this trike, I wouldn't think it was a scary movie either.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe they made that really healthy for him.
So they did do some tricks. So like Kubrick just kept telling him it's a really sad drama. Like it's just a drama about family and stuff. You really want your dad to be with you, and that's kind of how they hit it. And then they actually used a doll during a scene where he's kind of like comatose, and his mom comes in. Shelley Duvall comes and swoops him up and holds him in her arms and runs away while she yells at Jack Nicholson. She's like, "You did this," or whatever. During that, they actually used a doll mannequin to carry him away.
Oh.
Yeah, when it was time for that, because they didn't want him to hear the yelling and like, "You're a psycho, get away from him."
I really appreciate them trying to protect the child actor in this, because that's really scary.
Yeah.
And could really mess a kid up.
Well, here's what I'll say.
I think
he still was pretty scary.
Was
scary,
he?
like not like as the actor.
Oh,
I
the
thought
little
watching
boy?
him,
Yeah.
he looked like he was pretty scared.
Yeah.
At times.
He looked very scared, as he should probably sense.
What did they tell him at the end? You're running around in the
You're
snow.
just running in the snow in the maze.
Yep. But why are you covering your tracks?
I don't know. Because it's fun. You're playing hide and seek. Don't fall down.
I'm coming! I'm coming, Dad!
So, in order for that kid to get cast in this movie, he had to beat out 5,000 other kids.
Wow.
He did like an insane casting call.
Jeez.
And one of the ways that he won is because the whole finger thing, like the kids had been exploring like how they talk to their imaginary friend.
Yeah, how would you do that?
But he started doing this finger thing.
Uh-huh.
And Stanley Kubrick's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this finger thing. This is awesome." And so that's how he nailed the role.
His imaginary friend is called Tony, and anytime he talks to Tony, the little kid takes his finger and like wiggles it, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Tony." It's like, oh. If my son or daughter did that, I would probably have to slap them across the face. Like, snap out of it.
You knock it off.
Absolutely not.
You're freaking me
I'm just
out.
kidding. I would never hit my child, but it would be that reaction.
Daddy.
You knock it off right now. We are not going down this road.
Would you say that if that were to happen, that you would maybe buy your kid like an ugly dog or something to help them get over it?
Absolutely. Whatever they needed.
Yeah. Yep. I
Yep.
think the ugliest dog you can find helps cure your children of all weird stuff.
Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
And then there's this actress named Shelley Duvall
Shelley Duvall.
who plays
Ugh.
Wendy. Oh, do you have something you'd like to say about Shelley?
Your heart just breaks for her in this. She's just this like delicate flower, but then she becomes this badass throughout the whole. I mean, she just, as like a visceral reaction, I wonder about her mental health after this. Because she just did such. She's like the type of person similar with Jack Nicholson, where I feel like you get lost in the role a little bit.
Yeah.
And I worry about how both of them came out of this.
Wow, you are just hitting on some things
Am I?
that are fascinating, and it makes me want to jump there because I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
Number one, Shelley Duvall, she was in the Popeye movie with Robin Williams. So it's kind of funny that they were almost
Got it.
united.
Got
That's
it.
the only other thing
She'd be a
I had
great
seen
Olive.
her in. But she was also in Annie Hall. She must have been one of his girlfriends or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
she
she has
was.
a small turn in Annie Hall.
That's right.
Those are like her
Let's
two
watch
big
that.
things
Okay.
besides this. And then she actually works pretty consistently for a while. Even I think today she still kind of does a movie every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, her name is famous for sure.
So let's talk about mental health.
Yeah.
So Stanley Kubrick is notoriously awful working with women.
Oh.
He's just kind of abusive. He's not like sexual predator or anything like that. He more is just like so aggressive and abusive, like mentally and emotionally, that he does not have an intimacy director on set. And he pushes his actresses harder than he does his actors. And he pushed Shelley Duvall so hard. She said she couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. She was having like a mental breakdown. She started to lose her hair. Like she was just a freaking mess. And it all comes down to Kubrick just kind of being a dick on set the entire time.
Oh, how stressful. Oh.
So the shoot, King wanted them to shoot at Stanley Hotel.
The actual
In
Stanley
Colorado.
Hotel. Yep.
Yeah,
Where he
and-
had been inspired to write The Shining.
Well, tell us how he got inspired. What happened?
All right. So this is what I just wikied like 2 seconds ago, so who knows if it's right or not, but I was just fascinated by this story. So he's in the middle, or maybe just finished writing The Stand, kind of in that time, but he's kind of, he and his wife are getting away for a night, just to go up to the mountains. And it's
This is in Colorado.
In Colorado.
Okay.
And they go to the Stanley Hotel. And the night that they're there is the night that everybody's checking out. And so the people are like, yep, you can stay, but just know no one's going to be, like, the bartender will be here. Like, staff are going to be, like, kind of cleaning up. It's going to be, like, no other guests are going to be here.
So they really are closing down the hotel
They're really closing
over the
down,
winter?
Yep. But they're just going to stay there one night.
Okay.
Just for a night away. There are staff there, but
Yep.
it's still, like, no other patrons are there.
Uh-huh.
And so he, goes down to the bar, has a drink, kind of gets, like, walks around it a little bit, gets a feel for it. And then that night he has a terrible nightmare about his son riding around the halls on a trike being traced by a long fire hose.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of wakes up in a sweat, pants around the room, and they say he lights a cigarette and kind of looks out the window. And by the time he finishes the cigarette, he more or less has, like, the bones of The Shining, like, written in his head. He thought, like, how crazy would it be if somebody, like, died here? And then what would that be like? And just, like, the kind of the eeriness and creepiness of being in a hotel that's empty.
Sure.
And how it's so fun when everyone's there, but when it's empty, it's like, oh, this is so scary.
And does the Stanley Hotel, you don't have to get into them now if you want to save them, but does
Yeah.
Stanley Hotel have ghost stories?
It does have some ghost stories.
Okay.
I feel like most of them came about after The Shining kind of came through, but yeah, there are some ghost stories.
Ooh.
Do you want to get into those?
No,
or should we
let's save them.
them.
Let's save them for spooky season.
Okay.
Till the
cool.
end. Till the end.
To the end.
Okay. So King wants them to shoot actually at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. But Kubrick said, no, it's easier for me to get to Oregon. He's a British guy. And I think like flights and stuff, he's like, there's the Timberline Hotel in Oregon. He just thought that shoot would be better. All that exterior stuff when they're like driving is through Glacier National Park in Montana.
Oh, so beautiful.
It's such a beautiful sequence of shots. I was telling Rach, I don't have it on the format, but they use those shots in so many different movies, like just having these cool skyline shots. Not skyline, I guess. That makes it sound like there's skyscrapers.
Ridge.
Yeah, mountain line. But it's really cool shit.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And Kubrick wouldn't go really far away. And so, like, shots like that, those big exterior shots around the mountains, he just would send his crew and just be like, hey, I trust you. You'll get it. You'll figure it out.
I mean, they did.
Because he did not like to travel.
Sure. Well,
That was like a big
they
thing for
did a
him.
great job, so I guess you hired the right people
Yeah,
for
good
that.
team. Good team. But then they did all the interiors in his home of England. Not in his home, but like in England.
His home
on a
looks like
studio.
that? Oh, my God.
Yeah, maybe he lives on the studio property. I don't know.
Crazy.
So there were some things that were at play here, though. The Stanley Hotel or the Timberline. I don't know which one it was, but I think it was Stanley Hotel. They said, based on the script, they're like, hey, you've got a scary hotel room in this movie. What room number is it? Do you remember, Rach?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Of course I remember it. 237.
237 is the scary number.
Yeah.
But in the book, it's 217. And the hotel says, we actually have a room 217. It can't be 217. We've got to change that. Like, everyone will be freaked out from that room. Nobody will want to stay in it. But what they found is, so they switched it to 217 or 237. But still, people know that now.
Yeah.
And 217 gets booked out more than any other room. People stay in 217 all the time.
Because you know what room Stephen King stayed in when he had the idea of The
Was it
Shining?
217?
217.
Would you stay in room 217?
I don't know if I would stay in the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, but you just said you would stay at Queen Mary's, the scary
No, I want to
ghost-
see it. I don't want to stay. I don't want to spend the night.
Oh, you did say that. You're right.
I would go
You're right.
on like a ghost tour and like walk around, but the sleeping part of it, I think I would have a nightmare even
What
if
if-
nothing happened.
What
I'd
if
have
you?
a nightmare for sure.
What if I said, I promise we'll do an all-nighter? Like, we'll never go to bed. Like, it's like a group, and everybody's like, we're just gonna stay up, and we're gonna do some ghost stuff, but then we're just gonna like hang out and drink and have fun. But we won't go to bed until we leave the Stanley Hotel and like go to our actual place where we're gonna stay at like 7 a.m.
I don't think so.
No?
That's like right on the border for me. I don't think so. Visit for sure. Walk around the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I could sleep there.
Okay.
It'd be hard.
Yeah.
I'm not that hardcore.
So kind of creepy. They're on set in England, and one of the last days of shooting, there's this huge fire that happens.
Oh.
And it burns down multiple sound stages
Oh my gosh.
including some of them I don't even think they were using, but like it burned down their soundstage as well. And Kubrick has pictures in the wreckage, and he's like laughing hysterically. Like he's so like pleased with himself. But here's the creepy part. And besides, Kubrick looks like an insane person in the photos. In the book, the Stanley Hotel burns down at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like one of the big differences in the book is the boiler, like it explodes and it starts this huge fire and burns down this evil place.
Oh my gosh.
Just like the
Whoa.
soundstage.
Just like the soundstage?
Very spooky.
Oh, I wonder why he was laughing.
Well, because he's a maniac.
I guess so. Ooh.
Speaking of maniacs, Jack Nicholson.
I should have seen that coming.
He got a lot of leeway on set. He actually wrote one of the scenes.
Oh, yeah?
You know the scene when he's trying to write and the wife comes in, she's like, there's going to be a snowstorm. He's like, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
And she's like, nothing, I just thought I'll bring up some
Yeah.
sandwiches. And he like pretty much tells her to F off. He's
yeah,
like,
like get out of here. I'm writing. Don't come in and interrupt me.
That
He's
whole scene?
Such an a-hole.
He wrote that.
Oh, my god.
And he said it was based on like, I think he had just gotten divorced recently. And he said he was like kind of a dick towards the end of that relationship. And so he kind of pulled some autobiographical stuff. He's like, I was a huge asshole. And I think we could use it in this movie.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's a hard scene to watch. You just like, again, poor Shelley.
Yeah.
She's just there like, I don't know, maybe I could go on a walk or something.
I know.
He's like, get the fuck out of here. What's wrong with this?
I feel like we had a moment like this a couple days ago.
You and me?
Yeah, where I was not that harsh, but I still had a
not
moment.
even.
So I was writing a paper,
Yeah.
and you said something to me, and I said, I'm writing. And then you were like, oh, and you were kind of quiet, and I was like, probably for like another 2 minutes, and I was like, okay, what's up? I think I was like on the verge of like going down the path of juicy Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, where you could like
I think I'm-
snap at me.
Dude, I think Champaign, Illinois is doing something to me, man.
Don't say that.
It's getting colder, and I'm starting to see some stuff. Dude, I don't know, bro.
All work, no play makes Ty a dull
What if
boy.
you found out that's like all my papers have said that? And like a teacher,
I would react
a
like
teacher
Shelley reacts.
contacted you and was like, hey, Ty's work has been a little disturbing. Have you seen any weird things at home?
Ty is like, my heart rate's going up. I'm so anxiety provoking.
Did your watch just say, do you need to do some breathing
You
exercises?
need to breathe? Because I feel like you need to breathe. Her reaction to that is so good.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like slowly like reading through the pages. And that's for, if you haven't seen it, essentially like she at one point reads what he's been working on this whole time. And that's just what it is over and over again. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yep.
And you can just see her going through it. And she's just like, oh God, oh God, oh no, oh no.
So funny thing about that script. So for the longest time, nobody knew who wrote it.
What?
Nobody knew who wrote all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Because
The line?
the typewriter
Oh.
was loaned out to what's his name, the director, and Stanley Kubrick, and he was the only one who had the typewriter, but he was so busy. There's no way he wrote. It's 500 pages of that in different formats and structures, different paragraphical
yeah.
structures. Typos are cool. They keep all the typos. It doesn't matter. And so nobody knew who wrote that because they're like, he doesn't have time. Like, that would mean he's not sleeping. And it took until much longer. They kind of kept it a mystery. And so people were like, what the heck happened there?
Oh, that's so
and the
creepy.
secretary was finally like, I would go into his room during times and he would have me pump out 500 pages of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Atta girl.
Yep. So
Or
it was
guy.
her.
I shouldn't assume it was a girl.
She admitted it much longer down the line.
Oh, man, spooky.
Speaking of spooky stuff, Rach, what's our top quote of this movie?
Red rum?
No.
No, that's
Nope.
not it. Red rum?
This is on AFI's number 68 on
Oh,
their top 100
here's
quotes.
Johnny.
Here's
Johnny.
Johnny.
Yes.
Johnny, number 5.
No, I don't think it's that.
I think it might have been, he stole it from Short Circuit.
You think so?
I do, actually.
I
Do you
was
kn-
thinking it was more Johnny Carson.
Yep, that
Yeah.
was a thing.
Is that
I
the
guess
thing?
he'd go like, here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
And so that's what he took it from. But it's funny because Kubrick is British.
Yeah. So you didn't get it?
He had no idea what it was. No idea. He actually was in the editing room and he's like, I don't get it. I think we're going to cut that. We'll use a different take.
Oh.
And some of his team was like, no. That's like an American reference. That's Johnny Carson's show. That's actually like really
like
brilliant.
that.
You should keep that. And he was like, okay, I don't really get it. But he's like, trust me, you should keep that. And then it became this killer quote that people all say all the time.
Quote. Oh my gosh. Oof. Yeah, I was just waiting for it. Like, here it comes. Here's the part.
Yep. Speaking of quotes, though, Rach, do you know what the top 2 quotes are from AFI's top 100 quotes?
Oh, the top 2 quotes?
Top
of all
2
time?
quotes of all time.
You think I would know this having done a movie podcast for the last 5 years?
Okay, think one of the greatest movies of all time,
Okay.
if not the greatest. I think kind of consensus. Well, Citizen Kane, most people say, but don't think that.
Okay.
No good quotes from Citizen Kane that I think of.
Rosebud. Right?
Yep.
What's the greatest film of all time? I don't know. What would people say?
Gone.
Oh, with the wind. It's Frankly, My Dear.
Frankly,
I don't
my
give a damn.
dear, I don't give a damn.
That was a really, really
Oh,
good.
frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Clark Gable doesn't have that
frankly,
much of a
my
southern.
dear, I don't give a damn.
It's more
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's transatlantic. It's not.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
All right, that's enough. 3 was comedy. I don't know what you landed on.
6 is comedy again.
6 is
9,
like, all right, now you're
comedy
going to have to edit it
again.
out.
And then, what do you think number 2 is? I'm going to do a motion for you, and you'll get it.
Oh, The Godfather.
Yeah, what is it?
Is it just Michael? Michael.
No. Thank you.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday.
No, it's not going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Oh, yeah, I guess. If you want to be, like, boring and use that one.
I love it. It's AFI's top
quote.
Number 2 quote.
Michael.
It's like it means nothing to
It
anybody.
doesn't. It's like standalone, makes 0 sense. But you know it.
I do.
If I tell you where it's from, you
Yeah,
know it.
I know it, especially because you did it a lot in the podcast. Oh my gosh. So Jackie Boy did a ton of improv during this.
I bet. And poor Shelley Duvall is just like holding on to her seat of her pants. Like,
Yeah, like, what's he
good
gonna do
God,
next?
Jack, what the hell is going on today? Am I safe? Am I? I don't think anyone was safe.
Nobody
on that
was
set.
safe.
It's so
Yeah,
scary.
especially under Stanley's direction. Nobody's safe. Nobody's ever safe under Stanley.
Yes.
So he improv, though, because he got so pissed off because Kubrick would change the script multiple times.
Oh.
He would literally get handed the script for the same scene like 6 different times with a completely different writing.
Oh, snap.
And so he got to the point where he was trying to memorize it every time, and then he would literally like laugh at the PA who handed him the script and throw it in the trash when he handed it to him. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna learn that. And he's like, it's just gonna change tomorrow anyway. Why would I learn it now? Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah.
What happened?
Your flashlight on your phone just went off.
What?
Yeah, no joke. What happened? Why did that happen?
Oh, I don't know. What is going on? My phone's going crazy.
Dude, that freaked me out. Your
Oh my
flashlight,
gosh.
your phone, your light literally just went off and it
I
made a
saw
weird.
it
Did you hear
too.
that noise?
I heard a noise.
What the hell? Was that Siri? Siri, what are you doing? Stop it!
New studio closet. Yeah, that was wild. You guys got to witness that.
An email from my dad on my phone. It's buzzing. So scary.
Oh my gosh. What a wild ride.
I'm sweating.
So Nicholson would throw those rewrites in the trash, and then he would just, the day of, receive the script. He'd kind of get down the gist, and he'd be like, okay, I'll just improv the rest of it. And Stanley was cool with it. He was like, yeah, you're such a brilliant actor. You can just do that. I don't think he probably would have been that cool with Shelley Duvall doing that. And probably one of the reasons why she was going crazy.
Yeah.
She's like, you change the script every 2 minutes.
Yeah, she's the only one who has to do it right.
Jackie Boy is a method actor. Does this surprise you at all, Rach?
No, it doesn't.
All right.
Eye roll. Cue eye roll.
So this might surprise you. In order to get into character, he knew that Jake, right? That's his character's name?
Jack.
Oh, Jack. It is Jack.
He
It's
just
Jack.
goes by Jack.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Jack needs
Probably
to
didn't
be
help the
needs to
method
be
acting.
tortured.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the things that he did is he hates cheese sandwiches. And so For 2 weeks, before coming on a set, he ate nothing but cheese sandwiches to get into character, to bring out the anger, the vitriol,
This made him so
the
crabby.
vengeance. He's like, I will eat cheese sandwiches because I hate them.
I'm so mad I have to eat cheese, I'm gonna murder my son and wife if I eat another cheese sandwich.
What is wrong with some actors? I am an actor apologist. I defend actors, but sometimes actors, you're so damn stupid. I don't understand you as humans.
I mean, what I'll say is it worked in the sense that, yes, he did come across as very pained and as very unwell,
Uh-huh.
but all that from a cheese sandwich, like, good God. Are you kidding? He's hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I think we knew that already.
We did
about
know that
Jack
already.
Nicholson.
Yeah, for sure.
But that definitely like seals the deal for me. Certifiable.
But all that method acting made him pretty sleepy on set. He took like a crazy amount of naps.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why he had to take so many naps is because he was flying back and forth from the UK to the US to visit his girlfriend.
Okay.
You have any inkling who his girlfriend was?
Who would date Jack Nicholson?
Someone
with young skin.
Sure, at the time, yes. This is in early 80s. Oh, this late 70s.
Late 70s. Who
So
has young skin?
this-
Diane Keaton.
No, a good guess though. She is an evil stepmom.
Jane Fonda.
Nope. Some would say she's sort of a witch.
Evil stepmom.
If
Someone
she
who
had a
played the
theme
evil
song,
stepmom witch.
It would be ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da.
Angelica Houston.
Yeah, he was dating Angelica
you were
Houston.
referencing
Ever After.
Ever After.
Yeah.
Oh, you sweetie.
And then the witch, the witch.
yeah.
We'll
Oh,
call
she's
witches.
gorge.
So that was his girlfriend at the time.
Oh,
They're flying
okay.
back and forth. They're kind of a cute couple because they're both a little weird.
They were dating, I think, also during One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That makes sense. 'Cause that was just like 2 years before.
I forgot about this. Yes. There's a picture of them together back in the day. Got it.
They have a lot of pictures together. They must have been together for quite a while.
Yeah.
But he also. Let's talk about the door scene. Let's talk about the Here's Johnny scene.
Chopping through the door.
What'd you think? What'd you think of that scene?
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Well done. Horrifying. So scary. I have no words.
Okay.
So scary. Ugh, when the window was too small for her.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you walked into a bathroom and thought, this is how it's going to end for me. There's no good window in here to get it out and escape. Do you ever think about that?
No, I don't. But like,
That's because you're not a woman.
I think about moments like in our bathroom at our old house, old Shakopee in Bloomington, Minnesota. We put glass block windows in the basement. Which is good for intruders. Like intruders can't get in,
Sure.
but it also means you can't get out.
Ugh.
It's kind of creepy.
Hate that.
And then in our last home, I don't know if we would have been able to get out of those windows like quickly. We'd have had to be pretty quick.
Sure.
Yep,
The
in
glass
Mankato.
ones, yeah.
Yep.
Well, then we also put the covers over them, so,
But
extra.
those are plastic covers. We could have broke.
But
through.
they're screwed in.
We could break through those because the high school kids pulled them off and threw them into our yard. So yeah, we could break through them too. We had mischief about.
Kids being kids,
Yep. Hooligans. Hope those kids met a Nightmare on Elm Street end.
Jeez.
But that whole axe scene, he got through those doors pretty quick. Did you notice that? Well, one of the reasons
I don't really know how long it takes to chop down a door. Do you?
I don't know.
Do you
I
have a
feel
good
like
sense of that?
he's especially good at it because
Is he part lumberjack?
no,
He's not?
but he's close. He's part volunteer firefighter.
No way.
He was a volunteer firefighter.
Good for you, Jack.
And he was very good at chopping the doors down.
Wow.
Too good. And so the first take they did, he demolished the door so fast. They were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so they had to
Hold
get
up.
a bigger, heavier door. And they're like, okay, let's try this one. And it took him a little bit longer, but he still got through it so fast.
Oh, my
They're like, holy
gosh.
shit. Jack Nicholson's just eating through doors. This is crazy. And what's his name? The director, he's just so anal about shots. Like he'll do like 1,000 takes for things. So they end up going through 3 days of shooting for that whole door sequence, which to me is just crazy. I don't even understand how things could take that long.
Can you imagine, like, I feel bad for Jack having to chop down a door, but also for like Shelley Duvall to have to, like,
Screaming and
scream,
crying.
to scream her heart out.
Yep.
Like, it's so visceral.
Yep.
I can't even.
So he's saucing through all these doors for 3 days. How many doors do you think he got through?
20?
More.
25.
More.
How many?
60.
Oh, God.
60 doors.
You would have been so sore.
I was just thinking the same thing. He had to be sore after
Mm-hmm.
that. And you're right about Shelley Duvall. She just like had to roach her voice over and over and over again in so many scenes because Kubrick is such a madman who makes you do like 1,000 takes that it had to just be awful on her instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of so many takes,
Yes.
let's talk about the bat swinging scene. This
Oh, yeah. So when Shelley Duvall comes down to kind of confront Jack Nicholson, she brings a bat with her, and there's at a certain point where she's decided, like, yeah, he's gone. This is not good. And so she's walking backwards, back up the stairs. She just wants to get back to their apartment in the hotel. And she starts swinging the bat at him, and it's like, ah!
and Jack Nicholson's very creepy during that sequence.
Yeah, creepier than normal Jack
Yep.
Nicholson, if you can imagine it. Like Jack Nicholson with a 30-degree tilt
Yep.
down. You know it.
Which is horrifying.
oh,
So
so scary.
she had to do that take the most times ever in a movie ever. It's a Guinness World Record.
No.
She had to do that scene swinging the bat around 127 times.
Oh my God.
And she says that it was just awful. By the end of it, she was literally crying and like screaming to Stanley, like, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
And then even the black guy, the chef or whatever.
Yeah, that actor.
He
yeah.
also had a scene like that where he had to do it so many times that he started crying.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Stanley, I just don't know what you want from me. Can you just tell me what you want?" And he's like, "No, I need more from you. Do it again." And he was just like pretty vague and just like
Ew.
trying to be like, "I need more, give me more." And that's all he would do. So he was just like
terrible
had
person
no
to work for.
had no way to communicate with actors and didn't really even know what he wanted. He just knew he wanted more. That's like all he could tell you. And so it just made it like horrible for some of these actors to work with doing that many takes.
Absolutely.
And Shelley said that she was just like so worn out and that the take that they use is actually one of the later takes. And so you can see just how tired she is during that scene, that she's just a mess.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, poor Shelley.
Now, one thing that didn't take a long time to do, well, it took a long time to do, it didn't take a lot of takes, it only took 3 takes, was maybe the most iconic scene of the entire movie. Do you know what scene I'm talking about?
One scene that's the most iconic?
There's
For me, I would probably guess the most famous one for me is just the bike down the hallway with the 2 little twins.
Oh, yep. That is a famous
That's a
scene.
famous imagery, but I think a scene you're talking about, is it the bathtub with the old lady scene?
Nope, it's not that one.
Okay.
There's a scene that would take a ton of production stuff. Like they'd have to do a lot of setup to get ready. In fact, it took 9 days to set it up.
Is it the blood coming out of the elevator?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
see, I didn't know that was a scene until I saw this.
Oh.
I've never seen that scene before.
You've never seen a clip from that?
No.
Okay, there's a commercial that's on that is like, it plays homage to like a bunch of movies. And that's one of the things that it plays on. It has the blood coming out of the elevator. And so
okay.
now when you see it, you'll
Now
notice
I'll
it more.
know. Now I'll have nightmares again.
Yeah, there's quite a few like pop culture references to that. But you're
Okay.
right. The twins are probably the most iconic.
I thought the hotel hallway, long corridor, and then 2
Yep.
twins in blue dresses at the end of it. It's like, that feels pretty iconic.
Come play with us, Danny. Forever and ever.
No!
Wait, what would you do? Because they're cute girls. They're holding hands. They look to be so friendly.
They did look so sweet in their little matching dresses.
Yep.
That's
I think they're the
adorable.
Jones twins or something like that. I have it later on the format. They're these 2 cute little British twins.
Yeah, I'm sure they're lovely girls in real life.
So let me say, you don't know if they're ghosts or not. You're walking down a corridor of this like old hotel. I like said, "Hey, Rach, can you grab ice out of the ice machine?" And you're walking down and you see these 2 girls in matching dresses at the edge of the hallway holding hands, and they're looking at you. Do you go to their ghost girls? Do you go to their real girls? What do you think? Or do you run away? Do you stay there? Like, what do you do?
Oh man, I probably run.
You're gonna run from the. What if they ended up being normal girls?
I would be able to tell pretty quick. It depends on how they're standing. Are they standing like full on, full centered, like, and just like holding hands, watching me like they are in the film?
Okay.
Or are they like kind of like standing around waiting for mom and dad to come out of the door.
So they look like they were doing something, and you can't tell what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see you, and then they stand up, and they both face you. They square up.
Nope. Nope. That's ghost. That's ghost right there. Definitely.
See,
running away.
I wouldn't run, but I would just stay however distant I am and just watch them. I think we would both just be staring at each other.
Hey, little girls.
I wouldn't say hey little girls. I wouldn't say anything to
You
them.
wouldn't say a word to them?
I would probably, if I'm close enough to the ice machine, I'd start the ice machine.
Oh, you would?
And I'd just continue to stare at them and be like, what are those girls doing? And then if they start coming, if they start walking towards me and they seem like they're ghosts, guess what I do? I throw the ice at them and then I run.
Good one, babe. Good one. You're definitely surviving.
Yeah, because if you can get a ghost cold enough, you'll make them turn solid again, and then you can murder them.
Great.
That is real.
That's some ghost science right
Yeah,
there.
that's called ghost science. So that whole elevator blood scene, it only took 3 takes. For Kubrick, that's incredible, especially because it was such a big scene.
Yeah.
But it was super hard to set up. Like I mentioned, it took 9 days to set it up. They had to clean the hallways. They had to clean the elevator.
Messy afterwards. What are you gonna do?
So messy.
The furniture's ruined.
Yep. I think it's so cool
furniture.
how it like carries the furniture down the hall.
There's like so much of this there's so much of this blood mixture that it's just like you can swim in it. It's crazy.
There was a problem with the first 2 takes. Do you have any guesses what that might be?
They forgot to turn the electricity off and someone got shocked.
No, not like Nightmare on Elm Street. Nobody got shocked this time.
All right, not that. Good.
Kind of crazy. So that scene with the bed in Nightmare on Elm Street was actually inspired by this elevator scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was one thing Wes
Cool.
Craven had said, like, hey, Stanley Kubrick did that thing with all the blood coming out of the elevator. Can we have blood come out of like a bed or something? And the
Can
guy's
we?
like,
Yes, we can.
I think I know how to make that happen.
Great idea.
Kind of. I don't know.
Rotating
not really.
room, anyone?
So the big issue was that the blood looked really fake the first 2 takes. It looked like too watery or the coloring wasn't right.
Sure.
And Kubrick's like, we got to do it again. Blood didn't look right. But he got it on number 3.
You would have thought that you would have known that before you decided to splash all that
know.
blood.
Like he
in.
could have,
You can look at
like
the
somebody
tank,
could have
right?
just like had
Just
a
splash
bucket
it out.
and like been poured it into another bucket and been like, Stanley, what do you think? Does that look like a good viscosity?
Yeah,
And he
right?
was like, oh yeah, I think that will work. Or no, it needs to be a little thicker, you know? But
To be fair, I oftentimes mispaint a whole room and then I got to redo it because the color's not right. So I get it that it's hard until you see it in the big scale, but just come on. Come on. That needs to be a 1 take.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, the bed was only a 1 take with Johnny Depp in our last movie.
There's so many things historically with cinema that are 1 takes because whatever it is, it ruins the set. So
Yep.
you got to do it 1 take. You got to get it. And
Arrow
that's,
through
and that's
Kevin
all it
Bacon's
is.
neck. That was a 1 taker.
What?
In Friday the 13th, number 1. The arrow that goes through his neck.
Oh, it was?
That was a 1 taker. Yeah, we're never going to do that movie probably, so I'll just
Yeah.
spoil it for you now. So they had only 1 take because they were running out of time and running out of money.
Oh.
And they had to get this kill in,
Uh-huh.
and they had did the puncture or whatever through the fake part of Kevin Bacon's neck.
Uh-huh.
And the guy who was in charge of the blood effects is below the bed, and there's a problem with like the tube. The tube comes
Oh,
disconnected
that's-
from the pump,
Yes.
and then he has to grab the pump really quick, and blood's going into his mouth and everything, and he has to blow into it to
So
make
it
the blood come out of
squirts.
the neck. Yep. So he saved the take, but it
Incredible.
almost was ruined.
Wow.
Yep.
Way to go, guy.
Way to go.
It's always a guy under the bed.
Yep, the guy out of the bed, and it's always the directors who have never done anything before and are trying something for the first time.
I love it.
They're the craftiest. Stanley Kubrick's like, oh, I've got 4 years to make this movie. Let's do another
Clean it up.
Clean it
Let's
up.
do it
We're doing
again.
it again. We're doing it again. Let's talk about the maze.
Oh, yes, there's a maze on the grounds
Mm-hmm.
of the hotel, and it's an iconic scene, I think, towards the end. That's how the little boy essentially escapes Jack, who's chasing him with an axe
Mm-hmm.
in said snowy maze. Very suspenseful.
Mm-hmm. So the hedge maze was not a thing in the book.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually little like hedge animals that then came to life,
Oh.
like an elephant. That'd be like.
Oh, that's not as scary.
I don't know.
It's more cute, if anything.
I know. I have not been able to find out if they were supposed to be scary, like, oh, the elephant almost killed somebody, or if it was like the Shining kid is like, I can make the elephants come alive.
Yeah,
I wasn't really
yeah.
clear on like, is this supposed to be scary or not?
Mm-hmm.
But Stanley Kubrick replaced it with the hedge maze, and which I think is a pretty cool choice.
Yeah, I like that change.
But Stanley thought the hedge maze was too easy to solve, like realistically. He's like, this is the easiest hedge maze ever. And some of his production team was like, oh, yeah, it's easy. Well, whenever we go in the hedge maze, we end up always getting lost. And so now we carry walkie-talkies around so we can be like, okay, when you get to that one statue, you need to take a right. If you take a left, you're going to get deeper into the maze.
Oh,
and so
God.
like they would guide each other through it whenever they had to set something up. And Stanley Kubrick's like, I can do it without anything. He goes into the maze, gets totally lost, and he can't find his way out.
Yes.
And they literally have to do like a call, like, hey, okay, turn right or whatever when you get there. And they're like yelling at the hedge maze to try to get him out of there.
Oh, good.
So they showed him like,
That
no,
sounds
that
great.
maze is hard, bro.
You cocky cock.
You and I once got lost in a corn maze.
Yeah, I get a little claustrophobic once you've been in a maze for, I would say at least like 30 minutes. That's about all the more I want to be in a maze. That's probably tops.
Yeah.
And that's about how long that one said it was going to take. And I think I remember thinking, that might be a little too long to be surrounded by corn.
Yeah.
on all sides.
It's okay if you feel like in general, it's just like we keep going in this direction and we'll get out. But the corn mazes where like the way out are like, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm going to start barreling through corn and just trying to get out of here soon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the nice thing is that there were people around too, and so that makes that feel a lot less scary and a lot more like fun, like just fall fun. But
Yep.
if you were in a corn maze like solo or even just like with one other person, that would be a little unnerving.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Like
little
if
too
it was
quiet.
before the Halloween pumpkin patch opened and they were like, Rach, do you want to go through the corn maze one time before everyone gets in?
No, I'm good.
Rach,
I'll sit this one out.
I'll give you $10 if you go through the corn maze all by yourself.
Why don't we just go get some apples or something with that $10
Well,
instead?
Sure, you can, but you have to earn it. You have
By
to go through the
myself,
corn
I got
maze.
a corn maze?
Yeah,
no,
you gotta go through
I
it.
wouldn't trust it.
Okay, $50.
No. As a woman, I'm gonna go off my instincts. My instincts say don't do it.
$1,000.
Well, don't do it.
Would you do it though?
No.
Everybody has a price. It's funny, ladies and gentlemen, because I know that with Rach, you can give her hypotheticals about like money or things, and then there comes a point where she's so headstrong, she just locks in.
Yeah.
Her Aries rarely comes out, but it comes out in random ways.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, okay, Ram,
Okay.
I'm gonna butt heads with you. I'm never gonna give up.
Ty and I are both Aries, and sometimes when that conflict of stubbornness comes up, I like to say the Aries in me hates the Aries in you. And we just lock up. And that usually softens it.
Yep, it absolutely does. Well, you never show your Ariesisms until like really random moments. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There she's sticking
Oh
her heels
my
in.
God, I hate
She's
her.
so stubborn.
So that maze, the hedge maze, it's actually not that cold when they filmed this.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
there
There's
were
not like 12 feet of snow on
there
the side
were
of it?
moments where they were shooting up there and there was a lot of snow.
Uh-huh.
But the hedge maze actually was not full of snow. That was 900 tons of salt and crushed styrofoam to make the hedge maze.
Oh, what a mess.
Yeah.
Salt.
I know.
You're going to scorch the earth.
Nothing would grow there for years, and then the styrofoam.
Is that right?
I don't know if that's true. I
Yeah,
assume.
you would think.
I assume that much salt destroyed any chance of life forever,
Yeah.
and then the styrofoam polluted the earth for millennia.
I hope it was worth it.
Yeah. Are you happy, Stanley?
Are you?
Oregon's never gonna be the same.
Yeah.
There was a different ending to this movie. Let's talk about the ending. Break down the ending. What happens?
Well, the mom and the son get away,
Mm-hmm.
right? The caretaker comes to check in on them because he senses that something's not right.
Because he has the shining,
Because
just
he
like
has
the boy.
The Shining. And we should explain what The Shining is if you
Yeah.
don't know what that is. It's a kind of like a sensitiveness to the other world, maybe.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
that's probably the easiest way to say it. But then also, like, there are other people that have it. And so, like, there's a bit of, hey, I can hear your thoughts type
Yeah.
of thing.
And you can see the future.
Okay.
You
yeah.
can connect
yeah,
to,
you can get
connect to the
visions.
spiritual world, like you said. You just
Yeah.
have a thing, an extra quality about you that makes you shine. Shiny.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really sweet way to say it.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing.
They really explore that in Dr. Sleep, the second one.
Yeah.
Because there's this group that's trying to kill all the people who shine
Oh.
and like take their power so they can live forever.
Oh. Because that will happen when you kill them?
Yeah.
You live forever?
You suck out their shining.
Ew.
Their shine.
It's so
Their
weird.
essence.
That does not sound very good.
No, it's actually a really cool movie.
Is it?
Yeah, because
The premise sounds stupid.
You know
I'll
who
be
Ewan
honest.
McGregor is in it?
He is a young Jack Nicholson.
Nope.
Younger.
He is an old Danny.
Oh.
He's Danny grown up. And then okay, I'm just
Wow,
going to
that's
spoil.
messed up.
If anybody wants to see Dr. Sleep, then fast forward 30 seconds. So then guess what they have to do?
What does he have to do?
He has to resurrect the hotel and turn it back on, turn the boiler back on that's been like vacant since the last death.
Oh, because did the hotel shut down?
Hotel
after that?
shuts down.
Oh, cool.
He takes this little girl who's like the most powerful shining person ever.
Uh-huh.
He takes her to the hotel to
Go
get
on.
away from these like vampire like people who are trying to suck the shining out of people.
Oh wait, what?
The
Vampires.
mortal. They're not vampires, but they're kind of like vampiric.
Sure.
And so he's like, this one gal's getting so strong,
Uh-huh.
the mom and Dune, that she's chasing after him. And so he takes the girl there. He's
Uh-huh.
like, this place is very dangerous, but it's the only place that will be safe. Because it's so dangerous, like it'll be dangerous to her too, the bad girl.
What?
And so then all those characters are back.
Ugh.
Creepy lady in the bath.
Oh, God.
The butlery
Twins.
guy. The twins are back. The guy at the bar. They're all
The Winnie the Pooh
back.
guy?
Winnie the Pooh guy, who is maybe going down on a dude in a room.
For sure.
Those gay guys are haunting this place.
Also creepy.
Yeah, so then he reopens the hotel. And actually, guess who else is there?
Jack
Yep.
Nicholson.
His dad.
Ew.
It's really
Oh,
crazy.
no.
Yep.
Oh.
So, anyways,
I'm never watching that.
cool movie. Not as spooky as this, but really cool to watch.
Not as spooky as this?
No, it's not as spooky.
You described a very spooky situation.
It's cool. It's more cool. You're just like, whoa, this is crazy.
I don't believe you.
You see
It
more
sounds spooky.
elevators of blood, or I think blood coming down steps or something. Yeah, lots of blood rivers.
Ugh,
It's cool.
gross.
Very cool. What'd you think of the ending of this movie?
Obviously I like that they lived.
Mm-hmm.
I always like it when they live. And Jack Nicholson freezes to death out in the maze,
Mm-hmm.
which seems very fitting. So I like it. I like the ending.
So, and then he becomes a part of the world. They go to the painting, and he's in the
Yeah.
painting now.
Yeah,
Back in the 20s.
you say that he becomes a part of it, but I'm wondering if he always was a part of it.
Ooh, very
because
curious.
he talks about at the beginning, he's like, yeah, I feel like I've been here like 1,000 times, you
Mhm.
know? So it's almost like he is like reborn as this guy who again has to finish whatever and who
Oh,
knows if he was
sure.
the caretaker, who knows if he actually even did anything that first time,
Uh-huh.
or I don't know. I don't even
Well,
know what
And
happens.
the last guy who killed his family,
Mhm.
he says to Jack, he was like, you used to be the caretaker before you're the butler. And he goes, no, you've always been the caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, what is
Wait,
going on here? Wow. But let's talk some theory here in a second.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
get through some more things, but I'll come back to this.
Okay.
Don't forget.
I won't.
If you forget.
I have so many things to talk about.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't even have we got to talk about Ghost Lady. We got to talk about the
So many
twins. We got to talk about so many things.
Oh.
So the other ending that Stanley Kubrick was originally going to do was it shows like the mom and Danny at the police station afterwards, and they're like, "What'd you find up there? What, did you find him?" And they're like, "No, we searched all over the maze. We didn't find anything." And test audiences watched it, and they're like, "No, boo.
Oh, really?
He was out in the maze, had it freeze to death. Like, come on, he's dead." And so audiences did not like
Maybe.
this whole "we never found the body" thing, and so
Okay.
he had to change it to this other ending.
That they had to have like a little prosthetic, frozen-looking mannequin of Jack Nicholson.
Who still looks pissed
Oh yeah.
and crazy.
He-
He's like,
that's just his face. That's his resting face. Let's be honest. That is just how Jack Nicholson looks.
Can you believe now, after seeing this movie, that we watched a movie where him and Diane Keaton were playing love interests?
It was weird then, and it's all the more weird now.
All the more weird now. And then Amanda Peet, her daughter, was like hooking up with him
Yeah.
too. Like, it's like, what?
How?
How did that movie come to be?
I don't know. I don't really get it at all.
So this movie finally releases in May, just after the thaw,
Mm.
May 23rd, 1980. It debuts third at the box office
Uh-huh.
to Empire Strikes Back,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And-
big heavy hitter there.
The Gong Show movie. Rach, what's The Gong Show movie
I don't
about?
think we don't have time for this. What
Yeah,
is
we
it?
do.
What is it?
We do have time.
The Gong Show?
Yep.
No idea.
It's like there's this show called The Gong Show, like the Johnny Carson show.
Okay.
And they made a movie,
Okay.
and it apparently was terrible.
Okay.
But it came out at number 2 it was number 2 that week that Shining came out. So critics' consensus. Do you have a guess on what score they have?
I wonder if this is one of those ones that didn't do all that great to start, and then maybe it does better later on because
Huh.
of history. Am I on the right track? Charles. What was your? You want to know what critics' consensus is?
Yeah, we'll
The
do
current one?
critics. We'll do
Like
critics
what
and then
Rotten
audience.
Tomatoes says right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say critics give it a 70.
It's higher.
Higher. Okay.
It's an 83%.
Okay. that's
And
high.
then audience score.
Audiences give it a 95%.
So close, 93%.
Mhm.
And here's the consensus. Though it deviates from Stephen King's novel, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a chilling, often baroque journey into madness, exemplified by an unforgettable turn from Jack Nicholson. Here's some of the reviews, though.
Okay.
Here's some reviews that came out at the time.
Yeah. Tell me the ones back in the day.
Yeah, because it's gotten warmer over time.
Of course.
It was
Everything changes with time.
It was a little negative. But like I said, the book was really loved. And this was a major departure in some capacity from that.
Sure.
So here's what Variety said. Kubrick teamed with Jumpy Jack to destroy all that was terrifying about the Stephen King novel. And here's what Siskel says. It was a crushing disappointment. So it was not super well received from some of the big hitters.
Gotcha.
Movie cost $19 million to make. It makes $47 million overall. This is a top 10 grosser in 1980. It is a success. Here's where the best scary movies list put it, though.
Yeah.
The Guardian, the Brits,
Yep.
put it at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Collider puts it at number 5.
Yeah.
Parade puts it at number 8. And then both IGN and Empire, the gamers, and Empire, which I think might be British, both have it as number 1.
Oh.
Rich, do you know what movie typically is number 1 on most lists?
For scariest movie
Mhm.
of all time. Have I seen it?
Yes.
Is it The Exorcist?
Yes, and you deprived our listeners from hearing about it. How dare you?
That's very scary. I won't lie. I think this is maybe, I don't know. It's very similar. It's hard to say. Maybe this might be a little bit scarier.
This was more scary than The
Maybe
Exorcist
a
for you.
little bit scarier.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
So this movie gets up for 2 awards.
Mm-hmm.
2 Razzie Awards.
Oh.
It gets nominated for Worst Director and Worst Actress.
Oh no.
And
really?
yep, she wins. Shelley wins.
Oh, Shelley.
But here's what
Don't do her
happens.
dirty like that.
No, but okay, so here's the thing. Number 1, I don't think Shelley's that bad. I think
Yeah.
Shelley's actually pretty good. She
Yeah.
she does a good job of like not playing crazy for quite a while in the movie
Yeah.
and just being concerned.
Uh-huh.
And then I see her de-evolve into like worry then like better than Jack devolves into madness. I think he goes pretty quick,
Sure.
but Shelley takes her time. And I actually think she's pretty good.
Yeah. What else would you do in that situation?
Man, I don't know.
right? I don't know.
She's got a little bit of a weird look, so part of me feels like you're being harsh on her just because like her look is
She's
kind of
got some
interesting.
big eyes. Like
Big eyes
what's a
and-
girl to do?
Yeah, interesting mouth.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I think she's pretty good in this.
Yeah, I would agree.
What'd you think of Danny as an actor, the little kid?
Child actors are kind of
Rat,
tricky.
rat,
I
rat,
thought we gotta stop doing that. It's creeping me out now. That's enough. No more of that. Rat, rat.
Red rum! Red rum!
Danny, what's the matter, hon?
Red rum!
You having a bad dream?
Yeah, there's so many like the quick takes to like him having that like shocked face, like the big like was more of like an editing thing.
Oh
but,
yeah,
like,
was
I felt
that
like-
him or was that Stanley Kubrick?
Right, I think that's more of that. So
I
that's
think
not
it is
like
too.
the kid did what he was supposed to. He was like, "Hey, give me a scared face."
Yeah,
But it's just
or
like the
and
way
it was
that
probably even more than that. It was probably like more, bigger,
Yeah.
mouth open even more. Like you can just
yeah, I
you can
can
hear the
see-
director yelling at the
So
actor. And
he's
be like,
probably a
more.
very good little actor because he did exactly what he was told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I I think I wrote down, damn it, Creepy Danny a couple of times. So, yeah I think he did it. I've seen creepier kids in scarier movies nowadays, but for back in the day, yeah, he's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Pretty scary little boy.
So Kubrick, though, for the worst director thing, so he's really crafty in some of the things he does, right? Like some of the things he does are brilliant, but he does some things that I think he over relies on, like scratchy, squealy music throughout this movie to like try to build tension.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like, you know how Dunkirk you say is like a stressful soundtrack.
So stressful.
This is like too much stress where it has diminishing returns by the end. Like I think it's effective for like the first half of the movie, even though I don't always understand why I'm hearing. But then there comes a moment where I'm just like kind of over it. And then Stanley does too many cross dissolves.
Oh, yeah.
He loves to go from one scene to the next, just cross dissolving constantly. And if you don't know what cross dissolving means, it's like imagine one scene, and then it's like starting to like kind of like the curtains closing, and then the other curtains closing at the same time, like as they like take over for each other. And it is just overutilized. I'm like, find a new trick.
Yeah.
Like you're doing
That's
it
fair.
every time.
That's fair.
And I think his pacing is sometimes terrible, and it's not always on the actors. Sometimes it's his shots. He's like, his shot selection is too bad. Like you can drive trucks through some of his beats.
Yeah, but I think some of that is to help isolate like that time and just to feel the stretch of time, because at one point it jumps ahead and it's like 1 month later, and it's like, you lost your mind after 1 month.
Sure.
You can keep your mind together after 1 month, right? But I guess not. Yeah, I think
Do
some
they
of
make
that.
it to Christmas?
I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't think so. I think it closes down October 31st. November he takes over. He's supposed to be there till May something, May 15th or something like that. And I think he goes crazy early December.
I think that part of it, well, I mean, to be fair, you should never go crazy enough to want to like hack your family to bits from isolation. Like that, there's no reason to that other than having a complete mental breakdown. But most people, I think, could like hang with it for more than a month.
Yeah.
Before they really start getting loopy and weird.
Well, and that might be my biggest complaint of this movie is that Jack turns into a crazy person too fast.
Yeah. But does it matter like if he gets like possessed? Because it's like.
Well, I want to see a slower possession because I'm watching him. He takes over. He's like, this is going to be great. And then he's throwing the tennis ball around a couple scenes. And then, so we see him throwing the tennis ball like 2 times against the wall. And his tennis ball throwing does get like more aggressive. But then the next scene that we see is Shelly and Danny are outside playing. And he's got his head quirked down. And he's looking out the window like a crazy person, like comatose. Yeah. That to me was way too fast.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the de-evolution. I wanted to see like it in steps.
I mean, think about how long that he's been that way though, because think about what he's typing the whole time. Has he ever typed a normal word on that thing, or is everything always that? I don't know. I don't know. I think there might be something like when he steps into there, like he's already like taken.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I think you can definitely make the argument that he was a crazy person before he came here. He hurt his child.
Yeah.
He's a perpetrator of child abuse.
Yes.
He obviously probably has
He's
had
an
some
alcoholic.
spousal abuse stuff too that we just
Yeah,
never find out about.
for sure.
Because we see it in the movie later. And then, the alcoholism. So I think he's kind of a mess up as it is.
Yeah.
You know? Rach, you want to hear some tags?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So here is our tags. The horror is driving him crazy.
Okay.
He came as the caretaker, but this hotel had its own guardians who'd been there a long time. A masterpiece of modern horror. That's actually the cover quote right there.
Is it?
Yeah, which is
That's
funny.
bold.
I know.
How'd you know?
Because you know what's funny? Last House on the Left, which we talked about last episode. It's the Wes Craven's first movie. His tag for that movie, I remember it like on the poster. It says, "The scariest movie you'll ever see." It's like, okay,
Whoa, okay.
that's pretty bold, but all right.
Okay.
So they love like to throw out really, really rowdy tags. They're like, this is the creepiest shit you'll ever see in your life. It'll make you poop your pants.
Is this the greatest movie of all time? yes, it is.
Did you have a fave out of those quotes? Or those tags?
I mean, I like the bold one. Go bold. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, masterpiece.
Call it what it is.
a crazy director, not crazy like they were literally crazy, but like you would never guess this director for this movie is the biggest Shining fan of all time. So big of a fan, he literally runs the Big Fan website and put a nod to this movie in his animated film. The director of a Pixar movie.
Uh-huh.
He put, I'll just tell you the character's name, and you'll tell the audience what the movie is.
Uh-huh.
He made the carpet for this horrible little child who pulled his toys apart and made them into monsters.
Yeah, Sid.
Yep, Sid,
Uh-huh.
the Toy Story director.
Toy Story director, whose name is...
I don't know.
But I thought you wanted me to come
No,
up with
just
the
the Toy
name.
Story.
I'm never going to know what his name is.
No, just Toy Story.
Toy Story director.
Toy Story director is the biggest fan of this movie.
Oh, gosh.
And so Sid's
Really?
carpet is based on the carpet from the movie.
The 70s stuff? Like
Yeah.
the hexagons that the little kids
I
play
think
on?
so.
Whoa.
I think so.
That's wild.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's creepy. No wonder he's a little creepy kid.
Rach, we need some help.
Okay.
You have a Spanish minor.
Uh-oh.
You don't have to use it that way.
All right.
You just
go
have to
on.
do some rough translation work.
Bueno.
So so the quote you just talked about, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Mm-hmm.
How does that translate to in Spanish? Like I said, you don't have to say it in Spanish.
Sure.
But like the translation's probably not perfect. So what would the words be? Like what would it mean?
It would be something like todos trabajo. I don't know what dull is. Boy chico would be boring chico. I don't know what boring is.
Oh, okay. So here's what it actually means when you translate it to Spanish.
The boy is boring when he is working.
So, because it doesn't work as like a quote, so they had to figure out like a different phrase,
how does
right?
that work?
So here's the Spanish phrase that they took,
Okay.
that they converted. Although one will rise early, it won't dawn sooner.
That is creepy. Can you imagine if he
Yeah.
took that? You'd be like, what does that even mean?
Although one will rise early, it won't dawn sooner. Although one will rise early. In German, it is one of your favorite quotes. You like to say, "Why do today what I already did yesterday?"
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, "Why do tomorrow what I could do today?" That's what I used to say to Rach. And Rach goes, "I'll do you one better. Why do today what I already did yesterday?" When she's being saucy and airy.
So funny.
But for the Germans, it is, "Don't put off today what you can do sooner."
Mm-hmm.
And for the Italians, it is, "He who wakes up meets a golden day."
None of these even remotely capture what that means.
No, not at all.
These
Not at
are-
all.
They're just a random turn of phrase.
And you want to know what's
about
funny?
seizing the day, but that's not what that's about.
The secretary who had to write 500 pages of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That's how many
Yeah?
pages it was, by the way.
Oh,
500
good
pages.
God.
Well, why would Stanley Kubrick need 500? Couldn't she have done 15, 20 and it would just be like, "Hey, pick these spots"?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know, because Stanley's a crazy person.
Mm.
And so she has to do not only that, but then she has to do 500 pages in 4 different languges.
No.
Because they know this
why?
is going to have foreign releases.
Yeah?
And so Stanley makes them film, like literally, what's her and Shelley going through
Other
other
things?
languages.
That
And so the
is-
secretary
why?
has to do those
The
typing.
subtitles
as
could have
well.
taken that. That doesn't make any sense.
Dumb, right?
Oh, man.
This is why I don't have as much respect for Stanley Kubrick. Like, I think he's brilliant with things like Eyes Wide Shut, but
You say that.
but in general, like, I think that he's kind of a douchebag.
I mean, we know that. What do you mean, kind of a douche? He sounds like more or less a douchebag. Is he a good director? I don't know. It depends on what you mean by good director. He's not a safe director.
Yeah.
I would never work with him.
So, and speaking of Kubrick being a douchebag,
Mm-hmm.
it might be because I'm maybe protective of Stephen King. Because
yeah, maybe.
Stephen King and Kubrick, they had
they don't
celebrity
like each other.
deathmatch.
Yep.
And so here's what Stephen King said after the movie came out.
Okay.
He said, "This movie is visually stunning
Mm-hmm.
and a terrible adaptation."
Mm.
He says the end product was awful.
Mm-hmm.
He said Kubrick thinks too much and feels too little. He created a Cadillac without an engine. That's what he said.
Wow.
One-
Wow.
One of his biggest complaints. You kind of touched on this.
I did.
Yep, even though you enjoyed it, but you mentioned I wonder what it would be like with this.
Oh.
The Jack Nicholson character,
yeah,
Jack.
yeah.
He says Jack needed to be an everyman,
Uh-huh.
but we thought already, from the moment we see Jack Nicholson in this movie, that he is off his rocker, that he's just a crazy F. Like, that's what his literal words were. Like, the moment you see Jack Nicholson, you know this guy's crazy as F.
He's unhinged.
Yeah. And so the character is supposed to be a sane man goes to the Stanley Hotel and is driven to madness.
Yeah.
He's driven to do terrible things because the place is haunted,
Yeah.
and it starts to, like,
Mess with
make
him.
him go crazy.
Like an Aaron Eckhart.
Oh,
Wouldn't
that's a
he?
good casting
Wouldn't
choice.
that be? He'd be so handsome. He's like,
Yep.
great dad. And then it's like, oh, no.
Oh, no, he's starting to go
lost his
crazy. He's starting to turn
mind.
into
And
Two-Face
he
again.
could do it. He could do it.
Yeah. Yep.
There's only so many good-looking guys that could do that.
Yeah, he'd be a great choice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like that choice. That's a good one. I think like Kyle Chandler would be a good choice. Like people like that.
I don't know if Kyle could get there. Do you think Kyle can get there?
I don't
He's
know.
not been tested. At least I know Aaron Eckhart can because of
Two-Face?
Batman. But yeah, like it's not often that the pretty boys are given a chance to like show that side of them.
Yeah.
So, like I wonder. I've never seen this film, but I also wonder like a Ryan Reynolds because he do Amityville Horror.
It's
Was
not.
It bad?
It's not great.
Okay.
His.
But that has something to it
Yeah.
too, like a handsome young dad, and
Yep.
then you lose. Similar.
They do too much, like trying to like do weird shots and stuff with him
Okay.
to make him seem scary. That like you don't buy Ryan Reynolds. You're like,
Okay.
he's not naturally like working, but they're trying to shoot it in a way that makes it work, and I'm not buying it.
Got it.
That's what you get with Amityville. I thought anyway.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch it.
So that was a huge problem with Stephen King.
Sure.
That was like his biggest complaint
Yeah.
was Jack Nicholson's already effing crazy, and
Yeah.
the whole
Where
point
does he
is like
go?
I want to see a sane person turn crazy, not a crazy person told like embrace your crazy. This
Yeah.
is a good thing. You're already
Yeah.
crazy. You should be crazier.
Wild.
And so that like kind of ruined the theme of the movie for him.
I see that.
And I actually think it would be more interesting too. They did do a TV movie, and Stephen King wrote the screenplay for it, and they did shoot it at the Stanley Hotel.
Good lord.
I watched it. It's like it was a multi-night series, so it's long. It's like
Yeah.
4-hour, 6-hour movie or
Oh,
something like
gosh.
that. And I don't remember thinking it was that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but made-for-TV movies are tough though,
Well,
especially in like the late 90s.
well, right. Made for TV, so it's got to be rated PG-13 tops.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
Yep.
mean, you probably can't get away with near the stuff that you did in this.
Yep.
So creepy.
He was also pissed off though because he thought that what they did with Shelley Duvall's character was they made her like weak and passive, and besides like when she swings the bat and hits him, and she's like always like too passive
And
and
she
not
drags him to the kitchen though. I mean,
yeah,
she's very strong.
locks him away. Yeah, but he said that his main character is super strong. She is a defender of the family. She stands up to her husband. She doesn't let him push them around, and she is like a super strong character. And they took that away from Shelley Duvall. That's what
Probably
he
because
thought.
they made her do the shots 100 times.
Yeah, for sure.
I would probably also look weak and meek if I was my 100th time doing the shot.
So kind of a weird thing about Stanley Kubrick, there is conspiracy theories, and Kubrick used to love this, but it's been disproved by his family. There are conspiracy theories that he shot the fake moon landing.
What?
He was tied to be the director who had the shadows on the moon and everything, and that's why people are like, the moon landing is fake. Stanley Kubrick did that, but the family says that's not true. Stanley Kubrick never did that.
That's so random.
There's also, I mentioned how there's dissertations and theses that have been created based on this movie. Like
Yeah.
everybody thinks they know the answer, even
Sure.
though nobody knows the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's whole dissertations written about how this is all about Native Americans.
Oh.
And I mean, besides like it being on Indian burial grounds,
For
which you
sure.
kind of chuckled at. You're like, the hotel's built on Indian burial grounds.
Of course it is. And why would we leave it there? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be haunted.
Yeah, for
It's going to
sure.
be haunted. You're going to see some stuff you don't want to see because you're messing with stuff that shouldn't be messed with.
So there's that, and then there is this whole idea about the Holocaust. And I should have looked up more about what
What?
the symbolism is that they were trying to reach for this. But Stanley's team has come out and said, like, this is all shite. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We were not trying to do a Holocaust movie. We weren't trying to do an Indigenous peoples movie. It was about what it was about. Like, you don't need to search a lot.
It was about what it was about.
Yep. Like we did like subtle, provocative imagery, and sometimes it was just to make you think, and there really wasn't a crazy amount of purpose behind it.
Oh, sure.
So like the Winnie the Pooh guy going down on the guy in the suit, probably not as important as you think.
I might write a dissertation about that. That's definitely stuck with me.
Rach, let's talk about some of your scenes. Oh, by the way, they're the Grady twins.
Ugh.
The Grady
Just saying that makes me
The Grady
creeped
twins,
out.
their real names are the Burns sisters, and they're actually different ages. They're a year or two apart.
Okay.
But the Grady twins are the name of those twins.
Okay, stop saying it. It's scary.
If I say it 5 times, do you think they'll show up?
Probably. There's a mirror in here. Don't.
Let's talk about some of the spooky moments. We haven't really addressed a lot of them.
I think we've talked enough about the spooky stuff. Go on.
What was your spookiest moment?
The spookiest moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Probably the bike riding around.
Mm-hmm. Come play with us?
Yeah, that's spooky. And then when he starts to see visions of them like laying all like dismembered on the ground, it's like, whoa, because that's a bit jarring. Like you're not really. I wasn't ready for the flashes to all of a sudden be like a gore scene, right?
Sure.
I have never seen those images, and so I was a little disappointed that you didn't let me know that was going to be.
I didn't remember. I haven't seen this movie for probably at least 10 years.
Well, I think someone wasn't prepared then to watch this alongside me.
I definitely haven't seen this movie since we got married or since we even got together. I bet it's been 15 years plus.
You were zero help to me during this movie. Zero. Big goose egg of a zero. And you were like, if you get scared, don't worry. I will. I'll try to tell you when something scary is going to happen.
Oh, I mean, I can.
No, where were you?
I can help you with like the old creepy lady because I know that scene really well. But I don't remember that they were going to cut to the come play with us forever and ever and did like gross deaths on the ground. I didn't remember that.
Well, you should have, or you should have rewatched it. I'm gonna say you.
I don't have that kind of time
you failed
right
me
now.
in this.
I don't have the time to push forth to a 2.5 hour movie. Are you out of your mind?
So that was scary.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like just being chased with an axe wielding, Jack Nicholson is scary. Just the running around was scary for her towards the end too. When all the ghosts start popping up, it's like, what's she gonna? Because I didn't know what's she gonna find. Who's gonna run into her?
And what did you think of the old lady moment with Jack Nicholson?
Unnerving, like really creepy.
Uh-huh.
But not for me, not the scariest thing. Just like really like kind of just disturbing.
You want to know what's crazy?
Yeah.
So back to Dr. Sleep.
No, what?
So the little black girl who has the most shining, she actually goes back to the hotel at the end of the movie. And Ewan McGregor, spoiler alert.
Okay.
Danny dies. Yep. And she tells Danny, like, don't worry, your soul can like rest now. I'm gonna go back into the hotel and I'm gonna like solve some of these problems. And the end of the movie is the room 237 or whatever. And you see the old lady like there and she's like trying to be scary, and the black girl just walks right into the room and closes the door. And it's like she's going to like confront or solve or let her pass on or like do something to end this whole like malevolent spirit. Get her out of here. It's cool.
So scary.
Yep.
I'm getting more freaked out.
And any other scary moments? Any other? What did you think of him being put in the? I thought he was put in the freezer.
I thought that's where she was headed at first.
Yeah,
too,
but she just puts him in like the normal
pantry.
storage. Yeah, the pantry.
Yeah.
He would have been fine in there for years.
Yeah, except the ghost let him out.
Yeah.
Which was so crazy.
Uh-huh.
I thought like, oh, good for you, girl. That was so wise. She
Yep.
put him right where like
She did exactly what
locks
she
him
needed to
away. It's like, yep, he's got food. You're good. You're gonna be safe. And then what happens? The stupid ghosts unlock it and let him out. So it's like she did everything right.
Mm-hmm.
You can do everything right, and you can still be tricked by ghosts.
What'd you think of Shelley going back to her room after that and being like, okay, now I'm just gonna take a quick snooze?
Yeah, I mean, I wish she would have. Well, she goes to see that he has messed the car up, the snow blower thingy or whatever, so she can't. The snow blower. She was gonna ride the snow blower down the mountain.
Spark plug out of the snow blower.
So that's not working, and she, I mean, has probably, we don't see it, but I am assuming she goes to see that the radio's out too. I mean, sleeping. I don't know why she's sleeping, but otherwise, like, what can like she's stuck. She is stuck there.
Yeah.
For a bit. But, I mean, we don't know. Maybe she's been up all night, or maybe this was later. Maybe she's just trying to catch a couple of winks until she can figure it out.
If you were her, would you have at least switched hotel rooms? Just so, like, I mean, you got this huge hotel. Would you have at least, like, gone to a different room and been like, Danny, grab your stuff. We're going to at least move out of here to a different place. So then we can, then at least when he comes back, we can, like, hear him and, like, make sure that
But
we're
why would he come back? You don't think he's going to come back? He's locked in the room. Why would he get
I don't
let
know.
out?
What if there's, like, a vent in there that she didn't know about, she didn't realize, or like he broke through drywall with like tomato cans or something.
You're right. I mean, it's possible, but she was pretty foolproof.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what was her plan? She locked him in the pantry. Now she has to cook chicken every day.
She doesn't have any food. Hey.
And so she has to go down to the kitchen to cook every time and like hear him pounding on the door for like the next 2 weeks. She's like, I know, I just need to get this chicken, his lamb legs, and fry them up.
Kid doesn't like lamb. He said so.
Well, he can't be picky right now. His dad's on a killing spree. Rach, other moments, other things you would like to talk about?
Not scary things.
No, we don't talk about scary things. You can just talk about anything. Like my phone going off in the middle of this podcast and turning on and showing bright lights.
That was weird. That was really weird. I don't like that at all. We'll have to do some investigating on why that was. Yeah, I think I got all of my thoughts out that I had from the movie. But I was supposed to say two things. We have to talk about ghost stories at the Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was one other thing we had to talk about. Did we talk about it yet?
Well, I would love to hear your theories about what's going on.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything too fleshed out, and I just saw it like a minute ago. But yeah, you went to say that at the very end, it zooms up on this picture, this black and white picture taken in 1924, and who is in the front of the picture but Jack Nicholson?
Old Jackie
is in the front, and he is supposed to be the caretaker at that time of the hotel. And so, I don't know. It just leads one to think like maybe it's a little complicated because like, is he returned? Is this spirit, whatever possessed the caretaker in 1970, the British guy, the same spirit that now possesses him again? But is Jack just that? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
I don't know for sure either. Here's what the book does.
Okay.
The book has normal good dad who is turning crazy. And then it's like he's being possessed by the actual hotel.
That makes sense.
It's like the hotel is its own entity. It's its own thing that can possess people to get them to do awful
Whatever
things.
it wants him to do.
And so he is in charge of taking care of the boiler. And then he like comes to at one point and he's like, you guys got to get out of here, while he's like chasing the family. He's like, gotta leave. Gotta leave. I have to do this. I have to get rid of everything. And so then he won't fix the boiler, and the boiler overheats and the whole place explodes. And so it's like a final like self-sacrifice moment.
Oh, hence the heart piece that Stephen King was kind of talking about, like how this maybe doesn't have a lot of heart to it.
Yeah.
But it could have a lot of heart if Jack Nicholson was a human.
Yeah.
But he's not.
But he's not a human. He's crazy.
Nicholson. He's crazy.
Yep. He's always been crazy and always be crazy.
Yeah. So, okay. That is an interesting concept of that self-sacrifice. That does make this a little bit different. It's still scary, but also interesting.
Yep. But as far as like what's going on in this hotel, I just assume it's on an Indian burial ground. So there's already connection to spirits and things and deaths that have happened in the hotel. And that bad things tend to happen in this hotel and probably have throughout its whole history. And every time somebody like kills themselves or dies mysteriously or something, it like increases the like malevolent spirits that are happening here. So you have this collection of people that have all been like growing over time that have like are part of the history of this hotel, this like demonic hotel.
Sure.
That's how I've always taken it. And I don't know if that's true or not. Like I assume that the old lady like killed herself in the bath or something, and that's why she's in the bathtub. We don't have proof that that's true, but like that's just where I go with it. I'm like, oh, that happened.
I was wondering how she was connected to this all.
The two twins got killed by their dad, so they're still here. You know, I don't know. It's just like I assume that the guy's wife who got hacked is probably also there somewhere.
Yeah,
the previous
we didn't
person.
see her. I don't think.
Yeah. Unless she's the old hag.
Maybe she was that old and ugly.
Gross.
So gross.
Yeah, so that's how I take it, but I don't really know.
Well, the guy at the beginning too, the cook does say something about like how it's kind of a person. There's some places are kind of people. He says something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and Danny asks him, "Are you afraid of this place?" And he goes, "No." And it's interesting because he has The Shining. He works there.
Yeah, he knows.
And
about
it's
it.
almost like he can sense that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost like he knows if you're a good person, you have nothing to worry about with this place.
Yeah, this place won't take you over.
Mhm.
You'll be fine.
The only time that it's bad is
Yeah.
when somebody's bad who comes here.
Yeah.
And it awakens that evil in their spirit. That's almost like what I got out of that whole beginning conversation.
Sure, I can see that. Oh, crazy! And then he dies at the end. He self-sacrifices. It's so sad.
Yep. He's a nice
The
man.
one death.
The one kill count. One.
One.
A dude.
Whoa! What a shock.
I guess if you count Jack Nicholson too, that's two.
Oh, that's two.
Yep.
That's two.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some ghost stories?
Well,
a little bit?
hopefully you don't scare me too bad, but yes.
I don't have a ton. This would just be more of like people's reportings of what happens
Ooh,
there.
yes.
Not necessarily
At the Stanley in
Yeah, at
Colorado.
the Stanley. This is the real deal.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily what led to these things. I don't know that I don't know anything about what led to like there was and then this mysterious death of the lady in white. But the reports of like the fourth floor tends to be extra active.
Ooh.
A lot of like children's giggling and maybe some 1920s music.
Okay, let me ask you
Creepiness.
this.
Are you gonna let me finish?
No, I will, but that
right.
brought up a question I have for you.
Okay.
So if you were to have something ghostly happen to you, it could be music turning on, it could be giggles, it could be like a brush of your hair, it could be a lot of different things. What would be the thing that you'd be like, you don't want anything to happen to you, I'm sure,
No.
but if you were to pick out of a list of ghostly things that could happen to you, what would you pick?
I don't know. That's too hard. I don't like it.
You see something like far away in the window. Music turns
That's
on.
a really creepy question. Why would you ask that to me?
It's a cool question.
It's a creepy question.
So, well, I mean, I've already had a lot of creepy stuff happen to me.
Yeah, I know you
That
have.
apartment of yours was haunted. Spirits hated me.
That's very scary. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, Rachel's alarm clock turned on in the middle of the day, and then it like increased in volume. It was one of those twisty knob ones. Like the volume does not go up naturally. It literally has to be twisted to go up. It was old style, and it's in the middle of the day. And the alarm just like goes on out of nowhere. Rach didn't even use that alarm. It's like where the radio pops on, and then it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And I was like, what the heck is going on around here?
Oh my God.
And then another night, the bathroom light turned on. And I was like, what is happening? Am I going crazy? I felt like I was checking. Like, am I going crazy?
I'm going out of there.
Yeah. But you never had anything crazy happen to you. The ghost loved you.
I think the ghost liked
Hated me.
I wasn't a fan of you.
You know why?
Why?
Because we weren't married yet. And I was staying with you out of wedlock.
How dare you
It was
out us now?
It was a conservative ghost. Deeply spiritual ghost.
Segue back to what I was talking about. There is a room that if you are an unmarried couple, that it feels a little bit icy in there. Like there's like another presence like in the bed with you. It's like an icy, unwelcome present. But people who are married report being like tucked into their bed and report like the room feeling like it was tidied up more the next day than it was.
Wow. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Isn't that kind of creepy?
Now, let me ask you this.
No.
No.
What if I had another ghost story?
I'm sure you do. I want you to have it, but I have questions. So imagine you're in that room and we're out of wedlock.
I'm
and
so tired of your scary hypotheticals.
I want to make out.
No.
And you feel like there's a ghostly presence between us.
No, absolutely not. I'm not doing
I was
anything
like,
in
come
this haunted room.
on, kiss me.
No, that's how you die. I can't do it. I'm not going to be the first one in the kill count.
Okay.
No,
okay.
thank you.
Now, what if we felt tucked in? Like there was a benevolent spirit there. No, I guess it wasn't benevolent. It was a welcoming spirit. But it felt like, yeah, it wants you to make out. Go ahead. Kiss each other.
No. No haunted rooms. No nights in haunted rooms, ever. I'm not doing it.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Do you remember any of the other ghost stories? Or did I ruin them?
I think that was, there's probably more, but that's all the big ones that I can remember. There might be, there's a room on the fourth floor where women in particular don't feel like super like comfortable like they feel like they were like inappropriately touched or something, like
Oh,
a male
gotcha.
presence there that's kind of like really creepy. So I would definitely not go
Like
to that room.
a George H.W. Bush or something like that. He's notorious. He's that old man now. He's like wheelchair ridden, but he'll pinch girls on the butt or like smack them on their tushes when he's doing speaking engagements.
Yeah.
So like
God,
there's an
Jesus.
H-dub presence in the room.
Kind of like that, kind of like creepy old guy. What's interesting though, as I was reading a little bit about the Stanley Hotel itself, is I think it said that there are passages of caves underneath
Oh, okay.
the Stanley Hotel. Do you remember anything about like ghost lore and caves? Do you remember like the ghost science behind those?
No.
So when we were in Hannibal, Missouri, which
Yeah.
is one of the famous places that Mark Twain lived and where he essentially wrote Tom and Huck, or where he was inspired to write Tom Sawyer, that town has a lot of caves under it, and with caves come different waterways, and they talk a lot about like this is what the experts in the spirit world talk about, is that water is a good conduit for spirits to travel, and so like that's why a lot of river towns you have more hauntings along those.
Yes, that makes tons of sense.
Yep, and they're older too, so there's that factor. But then caves also tend to have like that water piece of it, and so there's something to be said about there's caves. It's not an Indian burial ground, but there are caves.
Caves and water. Stay away from that. And
I
if there is
guess.
a cave with an underground river,
Yeah.
very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Stay away from that area.
Well,
There's gonna be a lot
easy
of
for the
stuff
spirits
going on.
to get to and from, for sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? Ghost
That's
science.
wild. Ghost science.
I love a little bit of ghost science. I don't know if that's something that all these listeners know about me, but I used to love to watch Ghost Hunters, not Ghost Adventures. And let me tell you
Come
the
on, you
difference.
coward.
Yeah.
Show yourself, you little puss.
God.
I'll knock you in the mouth, ghost idiot.
Ghost Adventures is definitely a bit more antagonist. They're the guys with the black t-shirts. It's very eye rolling.
It's the one, too, where it's like, it said, I'm going to murder your face. I'm going to murder your face.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not
They
what it said at all.
definitely jump to a lot of things faster than I think they should. Whereas for me, I liked Ghost Hunters because it was all about disproving it or talking about like, oh, the wiring in this house. You have this giant energy field right here because the wiring in this wall is not right. So yeah, you probably might have a vision or a headache in this spot every day when you walk past it. So
Sure.
they try to debunk it a little bit,
Yeah.
but sometimes they can't. And they'll just
And
say...
isn't that creepier?
It is the creepiest because they say there are unexplained things happening here. We can't explain everything away. We can explain some of it, but we can't explain all of it. And that gives me the goosebumps. And I don't know why I prefer that to like horror movies. Because I would argue that maybe real life ghost stories and things like that are scarier. But there's something about it that just fascinates me.
You always say, when I'm like, hey, let's go to this haunted house. Like, there's a haunted house that's like 10 minutes away that's put on by a community theater in a small town, and their theme is witches, which witches are not scary to me at all. And I told Rach, like, it's community theater kids in like a town of like 3,000 people that are putting on this haunted house with witch theme. Like, this is literally going to be the least scary thing ever. And Rach is like, nope. So you won't go to haunted houses, but then you'll be like, what about a ghost tour? What about going through like one of the scariest jails ever that has a bunch of sightings?
Yeah, but like
You're all about that.
Yeah, but like during the day. Let's be. Don't make me into
That's
too
true.
much of a baddie because I wouldn't do an overnight.
Jefferson City
wouldn't-
Penitentiary
I
in
wouldn't
Missouri.
get locked in anywhere, but like
They do a
during the
midnight
day.
tour.
No, I would do it during a day tour for sure. And maybe if you got me in the right night with the right group, I would do an evening tour.
Well, like
but
7 to 9.
yeah, 7 to 9. Yeah, and it depends on the situation too. Like there are certain like murder houses I don't think I would go just out of not feeling right about the situation. Like there's an axe murder house in Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where a whole family was like murdered one day, and I wouldn't like that. That would feel almost demonic.
Sure.
I think so. I would avoid that.
Well, I think the kids who got murdered there are very active. So it's not necessarily the axe murderer who's active. It's the kids. There's blocks in one of the room. And there's so many reports of like blocks falling off shelves or blocks moving.
Yeah.
And like
playing.
the kids want to play with you. Like, because they're lost and they're sad.
Ugh. Yeah, I can't. So scary.
Don't you want to play with the kids?
No, not really.
No, I'm sorry.
Logan.
I'm so sorry. I'm so scared right now of you.
I'm just really scared. Oh, ghosts. Who knew we were going to talk about ghosts tonight? How
Yeah, lots of
fun.
ghost stuff. Rach, do you have anything else? Do you want any other acting talk or anything from the movie that stood out to you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Let's get to ratings and reviews then.
All right, here we go. Well, it doesn't get much scarier than that. Well cast, incredible score, and spooky setting. The Shining would be perfect if I liked that sort of thing. I gave it a 61.
Okay.
Which is very high for me. I think that's the highest scary movie
It is the
I have.
highest scary movie you have.
I think my Halloween was at like 50, 59, somewhere in there.
Yep.
So 61 puts this under Top Gun and above Save the Last Dance. Really good company. Really good company.
So, and then you were talking about possibly scariest movies of all time. Well, here, hold on. I'll just say mine first, and then we'll get to it because I want to end on that.
Okay.
So I give this a 61.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy? Look, that was like real.
Prove it.
That really happened. 61%.
61.
So this is above Total Recall. Because if you remember, Total Recall decides for me if a movie is bad or good. It's like sits right in that boundary. And then it's below Short Circuit. So
Number 5 for life.
So I like scary movies more than Rach. And I recognize this is a really great movie. But I have problems with it.
Yeah.
I have problems with the pacing.
I hear you.
I have problems with a little bit of Jack Nicholson's acting, like being just a little overboard and not seeing the transition. I have a lot of problems with Stanley Kubrick's direction. Like,
Yeah.
I actually find myself, and maybe it's because I saw this at a young age and, like, probably enjoyed it the first time I saw it, but I've seen it a few times since then, and I can really kind of pick it apart, that I find this less scary than Nightmare on Elm Street that we watched last night.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. I actually don't find it very scary. But once again, it might be access
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Could be.
Yep.
Ugh. Well, I
But
don't
for
want to watch
you,
either ever again. I'll just put that out
So,
there.
like, this isn't even a top 10 scary movie for me. Maybe not even top 20. Wow. But where's this at for you?
This is up there, for sure.
You were
It's
debating if
definitely-
it's scarier than Exorcist.
It's definitely top 5. But I've probably only seen 5 scary movies. I don't watch a lot of that. It's up there. Ugh.
You can't make a designation, though, at this point? You don't know?
The scariest movie I've ever seen?
Yeah.
It's hard because the movies that I think are scarier than this, I haven't seen the whole movie because I looked away.
Like Conjuring?
Like Conjuring, I looked away. Like, I know, and people are going to laugh at this, like, the movie Annabelle really
I know, that
freaked
really
me out.
that got you.
That got me. I don't even want to talk about it. There's scenes in there that just are so jarring to me. But yeah, I would say that has haunted me longer. And this, I'll probably have a little bit of trouble sleeping tonight, maybe. I'll have a little bit of adrenaline.
You had no problem with Nightmare on Elm Street.
I was great last night.
Yeah.
I had 0 nightmares.
Yeah, 0 nightmares.
I'm not watching it
I
again,
actually
but
had a
I had
nightmare.
0 nightmares.
I had a nightmare that one of
You
our
had a
dogs
nightmare.
almost got ate by a bear.
Yeah,
That was my dream.
Quite the stress dream.
Yeah. So no Freddy, but like bears. And there was a snow leopard in our backyard. And then baby bears, too. Big bear, a lot of little bears, and 1 snow leopard.
Ugh, I hate that dream.
It was scary.
Yeah, that's very stressful. I don't envy that dream for you. That's
Yep.
awful.
Yep. So I had the nightmare out of the two of us.
Well, we'll find out who has this one.
Well, that's going to conclude it for our Halloween spooky season.
That is enough. Guys, I hope you know how lucky you are to have gotten 2 out of us here.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work.
Here's what I'll say. I knew I had her for 2 this last year because I knew she wanted to see The Shining. She was so intrigued by it. I don't have any more tricks up my sleeve.
Yeah, you're done.
I was telling Rach, I was like, I know I can get
Cashed
you to
out.
watch Silence of the Lambs, but I don't even find Silence of the Lambs that scary. It's more just really thrilling. But you need to watch that one because that's a top pick for a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Sure.
But there's not a whole lot left to show you out of the classics, and the classics are how I can get you. It's hard for me to, I keep pushing like Barbarian. I really want you to see Barbarian because
No.
the acting's so good in it.
Absolutely not.
And you're like, absolutely not. And then
it's a horror movie that has to take place at an Airbnb. Why would I watch that? We go to Airbnbs, Ty. It plays upon my fears.
yeah, I know.
No, absolutely not.
So there's just like some movies that I think are not scary enough that they're going to do damage. Like I would love it if you saw Talk to Me, but I'm never going to ask you to see that because I hear it's really scary. But like I think Barbarian, like Pearl, X, like those are kind of movies I can get you to watch. But it's a harder sell than the classics. So people, this is what your challenge is. Think about classic movies I could show Rach that we might be able to con her into extra scary movies going forward.
Good luck.
Well, Rach is going to pick our Christmas episode.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, so I can't announce now because I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys then. Happy Halloween.
Woo, woo. Hey, I could really use your help over here.
Hey, I could really use some help here getting this set up. I could really use some help. Little did you know that I already found everything and set it all up.
Well, and little did I know you were making one of the funniest reviews I've ever heard ever for Nightmare on Elm Street.
I could really use your help.
Hey,
What?
I want to warn you.
Uh-huh.
The cannon is fully loaded.
Oh,
We
no.
had Cracker Barrel this morning, or this afternoon, earlier today,
Treated
and then I
ourselves.
just had chili. So
Hmm.
I've got all the rounds in the revolver right now.
Oh, and we have a small space.
Yeah. New studio closet.
Babe.
Let's christen it, shall we?
Gross.